What's going on, everybody? We are live. That's right. We're going to have a great night tonight. We're going to be talking to a bunch of the people from Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. And this is only two of even more people who are going to come up. But you know what? Two of my favorites. And I'll tell you why. First, we've got right next to me my dude, Matt. Matt, I already told everybody this, but no one has shared the campaign like you. You have been a fucking cheerleader extraordinaire, and I have mad love for you. Can you tell everybody out there about you?
Hi, yeah, my name is Matt Kuhn. I am a comics creator and a podcaster, and I think a little bit about my constant posting is I'm a bit OCD. I have a notebook in front of me, and every day I write things to do, and I love to put check marks next to them. And one of those things is to promote the Kickstarter on various social media platforms. So while I do that, I'm checking those off. So I think my OCD is helping me with my my posting about the Kickstarter.
That's perfect. So, and actually, my wife she doesn't have the list, but she's very much the same way. Where she's like, I got to talk about this one. I think we were talking about Cthulhu Invades Wonderland, and I was driving her to work, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't think I posted about it today." And I'm like, "We'll survive, babe. It's okay." I think at that point we were at like 27,000 or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
"We're gonna be all right, babe. It's okay." And she's like, "But I do it every day. I feel bad." I was like, "It's okay. We got Matt. We're gonna be fine."
Yeah, that's the good thing about being neurotic is that you feel great about putting that check marker next to something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely, man. And then it's my boy Kyron. He did the art for our piece on Cthulhu Invades Oz, and then he comes back and he does the art for Wendy's piece on Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. So you're like family at this point.
I'm going to change my last name to Pino. And I actually am thankful to be here because I've been saying Matt's name, his last name, incorrectly for years now at this point. I've been calling it
no worries. That's generally how people when they read it they say it, but no worries at all. Don't worry about it.
Well, growing up is having people mess up my name all the time. I am glad I can finally say it correctly.
What kind of ridiculous idiot can't say Silva?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Jesus Christ. It's only Portuguese. Come on.
Right? Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Oh, see, look what Wendy said. Welcome to the family. You change your name, we're in, buddy. We're in. We're good for it.
Well, no,
Brian Manil's in the house. Oh, you want us to be, we should be Silvas?
Yeah. And Chuck, you have to change the spelling of your name to a K because everybody on the male side of my family starts with K. So all my kids start with K. I start with K. My brother and my dad start with K. My grandfather did. So you got to keep the tradition there.
I mean, it's a great tradition, and the last thing I want to do is ruin a family tradition. But the idea of being called Cuck just feels like it's not going to work for me.
No, you can keep the pronunciation. We just change the lettering to Chuck.
Is that how you get away with this saw bullshit? Oh, yeah. XOB?
All right. It's really bad when Christmas comes around and we have Christmas stockings and we only do the initial of each name.
Oh no.
And we used to do it with lining up by age. And my wife is actually older than me, so it would be her first letter and then be me and our kids. And then we realized, hey, we got KKK up on the mantle.
Oh shit.
We're like, oh no, we need to change that around a little bit somehow.
My dude Raven came in. Raven, the guy you want to, whose ass you want to kiss isn't here yet. Raven gonna get naked, Greg.
What is he doing?
Looks like he's prepping.
Oh my gosh. Raven, the guy whose ass you want to kiss is not here yet. Look at that.
What the hell?
Hold on. Yeah, see that? See that right there? See that right there?
Dude, the red ass. I like that.
It's fucking it. Where else can you go to see monkeys? I mean, apes fucking. Sorry for all those monkeys out there that feel discriminated against for me mixing up apes with monkeys. I know you guys
rude.
super personal. Please don't cancel me.
That's like
Ape Live-
70% of Chuck's audience right there.
Yeah, man, ape lives matter. So you got to watch your shit.
I wouldn't have made that joke.
I know. And as it came out of my mouth, I was like, well, you might get canceled for that one.
Oh my
Let's
God.
see where this goes.
Somebody's going to be like, Chuck, you have offended me.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Hey, but you got two black people with you, so you're safe. We could just be like,
Hopefully you guys have my back.
Yeah, we wrote that joke for you.
Wait,
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's what I needed.
Hey,
Okay,
man,
well-
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Oh, good.
What's up, Kyron?
What's going on, man?
Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I've been around.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I have no idea who you guys are.
Okay. He's like,
Like,
you know,
we're
these guys,
Facebook
that's pretty
friends.
great.
You've commented on my posts and stuff, so I don't.
Oh,
So-
okay. Well, okay. Now I know who you are.
Okay.
I don't look at anybody's faces unless they're a hot chick. If they're a hot chick, then I'll click on their face and be like, I need to get to know these. Every time I look in the corner and see that bacon heart, it just fucks with me.
You want it, don't you?
You make me want bacon.
Now you're next to it.
So Braden says, "Oh, nice! I didn't know Raven was part of the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland team." Well, that's something we're here to talk about. Raven didn't even remember he's a part of it, but he is. He's going to be writing the forward
Oh, nice.
Nice.
because he is the Wonderland guy.
It's a curse. It's a curse. I'm looking forward to it. I was telling Chuck before we got onto the podcast the story of how originally I had Cthulhu in Return to Wonderland. I know you guys don't give a shit about this. Everybody out there just wants to hear about my dick and who I'm fucking, but just bear with me. So anyway, yeah, I wrote Return to Wonderland, and in the book, it was supposed to be Wonderland was supposed to be Cthulhu's dream, like this realm of madness that Cthulhu dreamed up. And the people at Zenoscope, when I started writing the second series to really hit that home, they're like, "Nah, we don't like Cthulhu in our Wonderland." And then I saw you guys doing it, and I'm like, "Holy shit, these guys are fucking geniuses!"
You should bring them a book and be like, "Look, it does work, damn it."
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. Fuck you guys.
please hit 100 grand so I can be like, "Look, I told you we should put Cthulhu in Wonderland."
Who do we have coming in now? There we go. Bam, my dude, Travis Gibb.
Yeah.
Oh, Travis Gibb. Shh.
What's up?
We're good, man. Raven wanted to come in and personally kiss your ass because he's so excited to be. Did you hear the story he just told?
No, I literally just woke up. I was putting the Remy to bed, and I went to bed. CB time.
Well, Travis, if you didn't know, Chuck has a podcast, and you could rewind the tape and hear
Okay.
that. Hear that
I'm gonna
story.
do that right now. All right, I'm gonna go do that. That's smart.
Yeah, it was a
Go
really good
rewind.
story. There was
So-
comedy, tragedy, levity.
It was beautiful. So what he was saying was he actually pitched Cthulhu Invading Wonderland in his Zenoscope series, and they said, no, it won't work. We don't want to do that.
Oh shit!
And so when he heard that we were doing this, he was like, oh man, you guys are brilliant. You know, like, I can't believe you guys are going to do this before me. And so he's so excited to be a part of the team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Did you announce what he's doing for us?
Wait, where is
I did. I said that he's doing the forward for us.
Yeah.
it?
Let's look now. What is this? What are we looking at?
That's Cthulhu in the water.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All
damn.
those disciples were worshiping him and shit, and they were like, we don't like Cthulhu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't sell well, so I would recommend staying away from him.
He really does.
It's forever. Don't touch him anymore.
Everybody's like, I love Lovecraft, and nothing except In the Mouth of Madness sold.
But I mean, who could hate Cthulhu? Yeah, I feel you, Brian. I feel you. Well, I mean, they say that it doesn't sell, but what are we at? Like $33,000 right now?
Yep.
With 2 weeks to go?
I take it back. Cthulhu sells better than porn.
Well,
Throw some
It's taking
porn in
us
there. Hit another 30.
Right?
By the way, Travis, I've known you for a long time and had no idea you were the guy behind all this shit.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's so weird.
Well, you have to choose. You have to choose a friend, and I chose Pat early, and that was a mistake of mine, Raven. I'm sorry. I just chose a side, like it was Betty and Veronica, and you're a beautiful Betty, but I went for Veronica.
I understand. Hey, Chuck, I know you can't do this, but how wonderful would it be if you could bring Pat in for like 2 seconds, just so I could tell him. And then,
if I could, it would be great.
It would be magical.
I could, if I could. But you know what? Why don't we do that tomorrow night?
Hold on. So you guys hit 30 grand already?
Yeah.
Fuck yes. Holy
Thank you.
shit. Bravo, man. That's fucking huge. Are you going to the strip club after this?
Immediately.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Have you though? Because we have a lot of writers on this, and we're trying some new things. So he hasn't been able to read it yet. He's super excited. Why don't you guys talk to Raven about your stories and give him that bit of a pitch? Kyron, why don't you start first?
I am the artist for Wendy's story. We are doing the cards in the queen, the Red Queen's garden, and it talks about how the cards interact. Well, I don't want to give out too much, but it just talks about their first impression with Cthulhu and what they go through during it.
The card people?
Yeah. The royal guards, and it's really cool because Wendy did this story where they are. See, if I say too much, it gives away my portion of the story. I don't want to do that, but they just don't handle the experience of Cthulhu well. Just put it that way.
Yes,
thanks, Wendy.
that's a fair statement.
Or Windy, or how do you say your name?
Wendy.
Wendy. Thanks, Wendy, for letting us know it's 33,000.
That's Mrs. Chuck right there.
Oh, hey, Mrs. Chuck.
Yeah.
How you doing?
And she was the writer of Kyron's piece that he was just talking about. Matt, what about your piece?
Yeah, so I have a story called The Fog of War. I've told this story before, but I had designs on the caterpillar, but I couldn't get the caterpillar because, Chuck, you got the caterpillar. But I had this idea as the caterpillar as sort of this like 70s Bronze Age Tony Stark weapons dealer. So I was able to fold that into a story with the Queen of Hearts where she's battling some spiders, the spiders of Len. They're basically sort of like cannon fodder for the Queen of Hearts. But the caterpillar is able to give her something in her battle that's an advantage to win that story. And like Karun, I don't want to give too much away. So
right.
You'll have to read the story to find out what's delivered to turn the battle.
I felt
real professional right there. When as soon as you say you got to read the story to find out.
I felt a little off because I don't remember who the other person was, but someone else said or used the caterpillar, and they were using him as the arms dealer, and I was like, I didn't even go there. Now, luckily, my story is like the first one that comes out, so
yeah,
this is before the war starts. But you can, I like to think that you can see where he, how he would be led in that direction, because his story is pretty rough early on. It's pretty great, actually. I'm excited by it.
Yeah, I like to think that it's like, like how there's like things that are like invented at the same time, like gunpowder was like invented like in China, and like it was being invented in other parts of the world at the same time. There's sort of this like synchronicity that like everybody's sort of putting pieces together. It's almost like we did that with this story where like everybody's like, hey, the caterpillar's doing this thing, but he's also like dealing weapons, and like we didn't even really discuss that. It was just sort of something that happened. That
worked out. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like how we have pyramids in Egypt and then pyramids in the Amazon.
Yeah. Everybody pulls from the same ethereal pool of creation. Travis, so did you organize all the stories?
Yes. Yeah. So this is the second time around. The first time we did it for Cthulhu Invades Oz. This is the sequel, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. So I organized it all, and I wrote. I write the prose that connects the connecting tissues, because what we do, Raven, is it's one narrative. Even though it's an anthology, there's a beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
So I do that, and then I wrote a little person called the Red King, who's a badass mofo, and meets the King in Yellow. So those two cool things in Lovecraft and cool things in history of Wonderland meet together. So that line.
Was it difficult wrangling everybody and getting all the stories to fit perfectly so that everything complemented each other, or was it just like, just go, guys?
I said basically. So I give them a rough structure, but then I say, let's go, guys. I have a unique skill of being able to do that. I'm a LARPer. Do you know what LARPing is, Raven?
Is that thing where Pat Shan dresses like a gay leprechaun and goes to a bear club?
It's close.
That's close. I think he does that after the sell.
Travis! I love when Pat can't defend himself.
Yeah, I mean, where else are you going to catch the good Pokemon?
Oh, shit, that's awesome. But yeah, LARPing, that's what when you dress up in cosplay and do the battles like HeroClix.
Yeah, a little bit. I do the cool ones, the semi-cool ones, the vampires and werewolves. Like, I don't do the get the little swords and beat each other up. But I used to run that for large organizations like they're called the Camarilla and the Gru Nation. So I ran like 400 or 500 people at these conventions. But it's basically me telling a story and me getting all their individual stories to fit. So I kind of do the same thing when I put these together. So I give them a rough outline of what I need, and then I make it all magically fit together at the end. It makes it look beautiful.
Chuck, did you hear the little bit of elitism in Travis where he was like, "We don't use those pretend swords. We're not geeks. We're like werewolves and vampires." Ah.
And the first time I ever LARPed, we used those lame little swords, so it pierced me. It was like
let me explain.
Bone pierced in the heart.
Hold on, I gotta explain how I got into LARPing.
All your LARPing fans who have the swords are like, "Fuck Travis."
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you exactly how it went down, because I was a hardcore, I was past Magic. I went beyond that. And I was playing the Highlander collectible card game, the highest of geekdom. And then I walk around, there's a bunch of golf chicks walking around. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? And they're like, oh, that's a vampire LARP. You don't want to do that. I was like, the fuck I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Over there. And then I never looked back because, chopping up pretend swords or hanging out with golf chicks wasn't an option at all. And then I was like, wait, there's someone who can be in charge of all these golf chicks, and they all have to use information. I'm going to be that guy.
Yes. I want to do it now too. Shit, look at how good of a salesman are. I'm going to be dressed with sparkles and long teeth and a perfect penis. Going to be amazing.
That's some fantasy right there. That's good.
So you used your skill at organizing these events to transfer into making this comic book masterpiece amalgamation part 2 of the series, right? So the first one was Cthulhu in Puerto Rico, right?
Invades Oz, so Australia. Australia, Australia, just bunch of criminals down there, Crocodile Dundee. It's a very interesting plot.
I would just like to say to any Australian people out there, Travis' views do not reflect the views of the podcast.
No, I'm pissing off the Australia people. Like, shipping to them is super expensive. It's fine.
Fuck you guys and what you've done.
Dude, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I did a Kickstarter and that shit is ridiculous.
How long ago did you do yours?
$26, the $26 to send it. Yeah.
And
it's even more now.
We never price it right. We always, for some reason, price it wrong and have to pay more. Yeah. I don't know if you guys did that. Maybe it's just me. I smoke a lot.
Australia is in flux all the time.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. I was about to say, hey, all you Australian people out there, look at what we do for you. Chuck, quick, show me dick.
Oh, I don't have any kind of zoom lens on this thing, man.
So, Kyron, how was it? You drew the art for the story?
What? I'm sorry. What?
You drew the art for the story?
Yeah, I drew the art for a Wendy story.
What was it like working with Mrs. Chuck?
She was amazing, actually. She was very receptive to any type of feedback I gave to her. And I think she worked with Chuck. I'm pretty sure she did on it, but her script was pretty much polished when I got it. And then anything that she wanted me to correct or update, she was very nice about it. It was a breeze working with her.
That's dope. So was it
completely
more
different from working with Chuck directly when I did that for Oz? Chuck was a jerk on Oz when I was drawing his portion.
Nice. So you were like messaging Wendy the whole time saying you're so much better to work with.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
the truth hurts, guys. The truth hurts.
Chuck's starting to think she married you for your looks. Yeah.
Not
your personality, just your looks, man.
Oh yeah,
like hot piece of ass. You.
I'm fine. Yeah.
So Matt,
I've only gotten better with the years.
Matt, did you write or draw the story for you?
I wrote a story. Primarily a writer. I like to dabble in art sometimes, but most of my focus is in writing.
Now, when you're dealing with a story that's that short, how do you approach characterization when basically have to get in and get out? You don't have a lot of time to really spend with the characters, develop them, and show their characterization through like what their actions are and whatnot. I'm really fucking high, dude. Like,
no, that's a good question. You're actually asking real. Like, I was like, oh damn, I should make you the host. Like, you're doing really good.
No, I'm genuinely curious because sometimes, and for anyone out there listening to this who I owe a script, this does not apply to you. But sometimes when you're writing for somebody else and not yourself, and sometimes even when you're writing for yourself, you're not like putting everything into it, like your whole heart and soul. And especially if it's a short story, you have this much time. You're basically showing your titties and they have to dream about how good your titties might have looked. So like, how did you approach that with that mindset of, I don't know if you have the same mindset of, how many pages did you have altogether?
I did a 6-page story.
Okay. Yeah. So you were like, you got to get to that climax. You got to introduce the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start it like in the middle of the story or how did you approach it?
No, I dropped everybody like at the start of the story, but generally when I write, I want to accomplish at least like one story beat on a page. So I was like, all right, I got 6 story beats. I got like set up, middle of the story, and then I got to conclude it. So, and then I also have to like conclude it in a way that like, it's not completely over. It's going to continue something. So I looked at like, I want at least one thing in the story beat to happen on each page. And with a battle, it's like set up, battle, conclusion. So I just sort of put it in the thirds. It was like, everybody's going to show up. Everybody's going to battle. They're going to figure out, who's at the upper hand, and then I'm going to pass it off to somebody else. So really it's just like, accomplish one major story beat per page and sort of move it along. And like, even if you're doing like a 22-page story, I feel like the same thing could go through. Like, just make sure you're like moving something forward each time, but you just have to be more concise. Like, you can't meander. The character can't show up and do like a Professor X or Magneto. Sorry, Travis. I'm Magneto and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing all of these things. You have to be really concise with those things. So that's just really what I try to do with anthology stories.
Right. That's cool. A lot of people do not realize there's a real art to telling the short story. Even if you look at Stephen King's stories, which I'm a huge fan of, his novels are amazing. But those short stories, especially when he was on cocaine and beer all the time, Skeleton Crew, freaking Night Shift, he could kill in like 7-8 pages. And you're on board. You're with these characters, and a lot of people don't realize it's really hard to pull off in that little confined space. So
Wasn't
that's good, man.
Shawshank
Props to you.
wasn't Shawshank one of his shorts?
Yeah.
It was it was in different seasons, I think, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just knew it was. I was just told that it was a short. I haven't read that much of his stuff.
There's a book called Different Seasons that he did. It has 4 stories, and the 4 stories are novellas.
Yeah.
The Stand By Me one is in there, but I think Shawshank Redemption's in there. I'm not sure. It's called Rita Howard something.
Rita Hayworth, yeah.
There you go.
Do you know the story, like, or not related story to that, where Stephen King's like in a grocery store and some woman comes up to him and she was like, I know who you are and I don't like any of your books. And he was like, what's your favorite movie? And she's like, Shawshank Redemption. He's like, I wrote that, like, mic drop, and just like scoots his cart away.
I've never heard that story before. That's awesome.
That's pretty great. I hope that's real. Like, I hope that's true.
I feel like I've seen him like give that story like on YouTube and stuff like that.
Right.
So I feel like it's real.
It was a great movie, so I mean, it makes sense that would be someone's favorite. It's one of mine.
Yeah.
Real
Brian?
quick, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chuck, but this
Go ahead.
This is gonna fucking drive me crazy until I do it. Matt, can you please show me what's behind you on your shelf? I see these little action figures. I really want to see what they are. Chuck knows I do this shit all the time, but I'm fascinated with people's home office. I think it's the coolest fucking shit because I don't feel so alone when
Swamp Thing.
That's my shipping department. That's my bed. So I love seeing guys in people's rooms like this.
Colossus.
Okay, so Colossus.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Let's see. We also have.
Are those action figures you had since you were a kid, or are they like new ones?
No, when I go to a con, I just try to like find like the most random like figure that I can find, and
Moleman is pretty random.
Yeah.
That's really random.
Yeah. So also, you can't see this, but I got like a Wonder Man.
Wonder Man.
Yeah,
That's also
Wow.
So if it's really random, like, and I see it, I'll just like pick it up for like $3 or $4 and just take it home with me.
You wouldn't happen to have
hilarious.
Nightwing on that shelf, would you?
No, I do not. That's not random enough.
Yeah, right. He's too A-list.
He was a Robin.
So Brian said, I find it really tough to tell a short, complete story. Exploring my development in that, though, super tough for me. I would tell you, try to get some short stories under your wing and done, because I find that short stories actually make you better at telling longer stories. It allows you to kind of cut apart the bullshit, really see the most important moving pieces that you have to have, and then when you do longer pieces, you're still going to be taking a lot of those lessons with you. Also, so if you have the chance to do shorts, do it.
Brian, also, just so you know, this is not a crack pipe. You put weed in here and you smoke it, but you can't do it in Texas because it's against the law.
No. And thank you for telling us.
This is not a crack pipe, and no, I have not been in porn before, but thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
Brian was worried, I could tell.
Yeah, I'm just going to start making up questions for people in the studio audience and be like, no.
But what about the crack, though?
Never mind, I don't have to.
So, Travis, what about, like, you were, in the first one, you tended to focus more on other people's stuff. Like, I know that you had the one story with Dorothy, but you were more kind of focused on making the book. And how was this one different? Because you did do a lot more writing work on this one.
I mean, it's about the same. It's just I needed to see the pieces and make them fit a little bit easier. So I gave a lot more feedback. This is the first time. So the first time I handpicked the people who were more talented than me. So anybody who I knew would say yes, was more talented than me. That's who you picked. For this one, we had an introduction. And now only 50% of the people are more talented than me, like Kyron and Matt. But Chuck, you were not more talented than me.
No.
But
I think that's the only reason I got asked back. It's like, he makes me look good. Bring Chuck back.
No, so building that together, there's a key to the way to do this. And I think we nailed it. And I was really up for the challenge of being a little bit doing it a little in a different way for this one, making Loyal and Mad and making what that's going to look like and adding pieces. So we have a middle, a beginning, middle, and end that's written. So Kurt Belcher writes the beginning, Chuck writes the end, and I write the middle. And my middle is actually just a double page spread. It's not even like they wrote full on stories. I was like, this image will tell you what's going on. You're good. Which just got announced as a stretch goal, by the way, because that's such a great piece.
Is that the Jim O'Reilly piece?
Yeah, the Jim O'Reilly piece is it's gonna be colored this weekend by J.W. Sims, and then it'll be a stretch goal if we hit. I think he said 3,600. By the way, we just hit 600 backers, ladies and gentlemen.
I saw that.
So 6 more backers, and we break the record of last time. So I feel pretty decent about that one. And you think about it, we're 6 backers away, and we're almost $10,000 over what we were with the last backer count before. So
correct, yeah. And even if you count the Indiegogo, I think we're going to beat that too. Because remember, I transferred to Indiegogo. Let's see where that was, just out of curiosity.
Wasn't that a little over a grand or so?
So Indiegogo, we ended at, because remember they calculate the whole thing. It's $26,276 is 637 backers. So I think we'll beat the whole thing.
Yeah,
that is a lot of cocaine.
That is.
Holy
that's how our pledge levels are broken up. How much cocaine? It's in grams.
But you have to subtract $3,000 from my fee for drawing Wendy's story too, though, right? You calculated
right. And then Jerome's lettering, of course. That's
right. Yeah, I believe I didn't have a lot of money, so I just got the 8-ball pledge. I couldn't afford much more than that.
Well, I want to get Kyron as a writer, but he's too good for writing. I keep asking him, like, hey, Kyron, will you write something? He's like, no, I'm writing StarCore right now. Oh, okay. I'm writing Saw 4. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm writing Ruby something one day, number 2.
I don't have time for your petty little anthology. I'll draw it, but I can't write that.
I love he doesn't have time to write for it, but he has time to draw for it, which is a considerably longer process.
As a bunch of writers here, we know that the drawing part is super easy. They just do it.
Oh, yeah.
It takes about 20 minutes, and they just sit on it for like 5 days and then send it to you. That's just how artists work. Right?
It's like that. Did you ever see that Rice Krispie commercial where it was the mother, she's making Rice Krispies and it's done in like no time, and then she grabs the flour and starts like shooting it on her face, and she messes up her hair and she walks out, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. You worked so hard.
Chuck, that was porn, dude.
Was that porn?
You watched
there was a parody of it.
Porn. You're like shooting flour. That wasn't flour, dude.
That wasn't flour.
Well, he clicked the breakfast cereal tab at the
top. Dude. Yeah. I have a habit of doing that. If you put a breakfast cereal tab on anything, I'm probably going to touch it.
I'm still just curious. Why do porn sites have the share button? Are they like, yeah, let's share this to Facebook?
I've never heard of anyone doing it either. That is weird.
Yeah, fucking really strange.
They have to go by the algorithms. The like and share. It's the same thing.
But who's the dude who's like, you guys got to see this? Like,
can they share it to their OnlyFans, and then their OnlyFans can, maybe there's a crew.
Well, the reason why all these links to all these sites don't work when you post them on Facebook?
Right.
Because the algorithm wants you to stay engaged with Facebook as much as possible. Yeah. And if it sends you to YouTube where you might see something interesting, which leads you down that rabbit hole of another interesting thing. So anytime you post Twitter, Kickstarter, anything that will take people away from Facebook, they're like, fuck you, and won't show it to anybody.
Well, that's why what a lot of people will do is they'll talk about it and maybe put up like a picture, and then they'll put the link in the chat. Yeah.
Yep. That's
Is
key.
that why my Kickstarter hasn't funded yet? I need to put the link in the comment section.
Yeah, put it. We'll put it in here. Absolutely, dude.
Okay.
By the way, guys, Kyron does have a Kickstarter going on. Why don't you tell everybody real quick about StarCore, dude?
Well, it's about this girl. Her name is Wendy, and she battles Cthulhu in the stars.
How bad do you want to sell your Kickstarter, homie?
So he said Wendy's. You want to sell Cthulhu Invades Oz, apparently. He's going back
All right, so StarCore is an ongoing series. It's a sci-fi adventure series. It's about a young, well, I shouldn't say young, he's a teenager. He's in high school. He finds this alien battlesuit, and that puts him on the radar of the government's anti-alien task force. And now they're hunting him down to try to figure out what his suit is, and he's trying to figure out what it is at the same time.
So
Very excited.
Called like a cross between.
I'm saying it's a cross between Ben 10, Dark Hawk, if you're familiar with Dark Hawk from the 90s, and Flight of the Navigator, the old movie from the 80s.
Nice.
From
Okay.
Disney. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put that in? Can we put the link in the show notes or anything like that?
Oh,
I mean,
Wendy's got hers happening. Wendy showed hers happening, so we got that one at least. Thank you, babe. Yeah, Kyron, put yours in the chat and we'll show it off.
You're asking me to do a lot here, Chuck. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I can't talk and copy paste and do all this stuff.
I believe in you. Oh, speaking of more people, even though we weren't, we've got
Who is it?
James
It is
Burton in the
I.
house.
Yes.
Oh,
What's up,
What's up,
James?
Burton?
Hey, gentlemen. I would have tried to show up and say hi a little bit earlier, but I had to drive for 2.5 hours. So.
But by the way, James, I just wanted you to know I love your song. I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. It's beautiful. Huge fan. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, don't you love it how when you got the name of a famous person, so when people Google search you, it comes all crappy?
Never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, one of the most famous guitarists on the planet has my name.
I used to Google Travis, and I used to get a bunch of Bee Gees stuff.
That's just because of how he rolls in social media.
Also, in case anyone at home has not seen, Kyron is wearing the coolest fucking shirt in the world. Thank you.
Sir.
I love that saying.
Yes, sir.
Kyron's always the height of fashion.
true.
Since 1990.
What is this picture behind Kyron? Is that the other Kickstarter you're doing?
This is my banner to cover up all the mess that's that way, basically. But no, this is all the characters in my comic book universe. So we have StarCore right there, Malik from Shaman's Destiny, Ruby from Planet Oz, and Saw the Lightning Wielder.
Oh shit, that's fucking dope, man.
Thank you.
Are you planning to do something that has all of them in one series, or?
Well, they all have their individual series right now.
Yeah.
Once StarCore gets funded and we get a couple of issues of that, I actually do have something as a crossover event, but that's a couple years down the line at this point.
Okay.
That'd be dope.
Finish release Ruby first.
Yeah, you do.
I know.
So James, they were telling me that you got your start in porn before you got into comics. Tell me more about
It's
that.
always porn.
Everything's porn, dude.
We actually, when we started doing comics, me and some of the other guys, we had a huge conversation because it was in an area where there was a porn producer running around trying to get a bunch of us who worked on short films to try to get us to work in porn. And there was like a group of them trying to go around and recruit people all over in Reno. And we ended up making a pact with like a bunch of other people to have nothing to do with it whatsoever. So you can't begrudge people. They got to do what they got to do. But I stayed away from that like the plague.
Okay, can you forward me all their information? I will take the bullet for you guys, and I'll make some porn. And, you know.
I'll see what I can do.
I think it's called Dog Days. Is that what it's called?
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's places where you get fucked. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
That was a book that Travis did that was tough to get through. Well, no, not reading it, but to make happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still waiting. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's currently my fault, but we're still waiting, regardless of whose fault it is.
Yeah, some projects are just destined to be trouble, aren't they?
So is Wendy in the other room typing all this stuff right now?
She's right in front of me. Yeah.
Dude, quick, throw something at her.
It's Michelob Ultra. It's terrible.
she goes, oh, jeez.
Reagan
was
was
not
a recovering alcoholic, even Michelob Ultra. He's like, nah, not so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I could affect things through the text messages with you.
She's not happy with me. She's like, there's a 4-second delay. I didn't even know what was going on.
Did you guys talk about the Will Smith thing yet?
No.
No? Because nobody cares about it anymore.
I didn't want to care about it when it happened.
I know.
So much else is going on in the world.
One day we were all joined in what the fuck.
Well, yeah, that's how memes happen.
Yeah.
That's all it ended up being is meme fodder.
Yeah.
Matt, Wendy's wondering what you're drinking. She loves your mug.
Oh, again, it's Michelob Ultra. I'm sorry. I know Travis has a real man's beer, but I have Michelob Ultra.
I think that's written on the side of the can.
I have flavored water, so you're beating me, bud. Only barely, though.
I've got nothing. I feel out of place here.
Well, nobody told me to bring drinks.
We don't have to.
No, you don't have to. That's
no, I'm kidding, you guys. I've never even tasted alcohol.
You're I was like, you're sober, right?
I'm completely sober. I'm the most Mormon non-Mormon I know.
Wait, if you stop drinking or don't drink, that doesn't make you Mormon.
No, it's a joke because
my meetings are telling you that you become Mormon. That's not the way it works. My mom was in AA for years.
It's a joke because my wife is Mormon and like 3/4 of my best friends are Mormon. Like most of Damage, they're Mormon.
But how are you getting in her? Wait, if she's Mormon, why would she be married to you? Because you can't give her space Jesus if you don't believe. Like you can't give her her own planet.
That's why it started a Romeo and Juliet feud that would like take me like 2 hours to explain.
Okay.
Oh wow. I want to hear that story one day.
I'll tell you, Chuck. At one point there were shotguns involved. There was holy crap, man. That story is long and in depth. It involved people being excommunicated. It involved all kinds of crap, and it took like 10 years, and then eventually her family realized the person that started it was kind of full of crap and apologized. But holy crap, it was long.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's funny. Yes, I know the room's in the car, but it's all the way over there. Oh, cool. Jail's there. Yes.
James,
yes, you did.
What do you do on the book?
Let's see here. My sister and I worked on a story about the Red Knight and the White Knight, and I drew and inked it. Travis was nice enough to get somebody to, oh man, I just skipped out on his name and I know it. Who's Travis? No, Travis. Who colored it?
Wasn't it Steven?
Steven, yes.
Yeah,
Steven,
there we go. Steven.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not used to his last name. It always falls out of my head. He's a cool, nice guy, though. I'm colorblind, so when I color things, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't. So I work in black and white, and I basically decided that I was going to make a kaiju fight come hell or high water, no matter what it was. And I didn't even care which two characters I got. I just wanted two characters that were going to eat some mushrooms and fight like hell. So we got this fantastic story that my sister wrote some poetry to actually include the whole madness and chaos. It gets really serious. It gets really dark. It gets pretty gruesome as they're fighting. And then at the end of it, it's got a pretty fantastic shot of Cthulhu. So it was a lot of fun. And I just enjoyed the hell out of it.
And how many pages is your story?
8, man. I always take as many pages as Travis will let me have.
Oh, okay.
Travis, what's the
longest story in the book?
Huh?
Travis, what's the longest story in the book?
I think there's a 10 in this one.
Okay.
There was a 12 in the last one, but it's normally 8 is pretty the highest that people write. Most people write 5 to 6.
Did you give Did you give the 10-pager to the person you liked the best?
Yes, of course.
Always.
Who was it?
His wife got 10 pages. That'd be great.
Adam
So
Sandler style.
actually, I think it's me. I think I give it to me.
That makes perfect sense.
Point proven.
Hey,
You know what?
David Byrne. That he did 10 pages, and then I think I did 10 pages with Stan Yak, but that's because I got Stan Yak to draw for me. Like if you get Stan Yak, you get him to draw as much as you can.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Good policy. Good policy.
Early on, when I would pitch anthologies, I would always do like 4, thinking that like the person that was like the curator would like be more willing to take a 4-page story. And then as I did more, then I was like, all right, I feel comfortable to like try for 6 or for 8. Do you think that that's like a good idea? Like if you're like trying to start off and trying to make your name and you try to get into an anthology, like to pitch something shorter, like if people don't know you, like
Yeah, if nobody knows you, pitch small.
Yeah.
The smaller
Yeah.
is more likely to get thing, and then the more you think your name resonates, pitch more and do more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
okay.
And not only that, but you should never pitch something that's bigger than your britches, man. If you got a deadline and you know you can get 2 or 4 done, don't freaking tell somebody that you're going to do 8. Most of the anthologies I started with, I made sure I knew what they were looking for. I asked questions, and then I would do whatever my pitch was. But I've worked with other artists or even other writers where you're like, okay, where's your piece? Where's your pages? And they're, they promise more they can handle. You don't want to do that. I mean, come on. Can you think of how ridiculous any of us would have felt if we 2 of our pages held up like the 50 people that are working on the anthology? That's basically flipping off. Like
you'd feel really terrible. You'd feel like a big sack of shit. That's for sure.
Rob Dietrich, I apologize for your script taking so long. I feel like a piece of shit now. Thanks, James.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to call y'all out.
Hey, but it's crazy. I'm reading a book by J. Michael Straczynski. Something right.
Superman?
No, not that. That's next. The being a writer and staying a writer. And I was talking to my buddy Pat Chan, who's a short ginger, that there's this line where he explains how to pitch, and it's the best information I've ever heard as an established writer that makes sense once you've been writing for a while. He said when you pitch a story to somebody, not like the written pitch, but the hey, we're talking, I'm going to pitch you my idea real quick to see if you're interested. He said, pitch it like you're telling your friend about a movie that you love. You're not going to spoil the movie for them, but you're going to say who the characters are, what was cool, and oh my God, then this, you can't, like, you talk to them like you've known them your whole life, and it gets rid of all that. There's all this shit that gets in the way when you're pitching somebody else's story because you're basically being judged by them. So you're letting yourself be a little bit vulnerable, because if you come up with an idea that's stupid, sometimes you don't know it's stupid until you can take a step back from it. Or if you come up with an idea that's amazing and they think it's you're like, so it's like a very weird dynamic in how to pitch a story properly that really conveys the excitement behind it and, nails it on the nose,
I'd say that's good, but I'd always still start with a piece of it with the elevator pitch to gauge what's going on with that person. Yeah. I've had writers walk up to me at conventions and block my table for like 40 minutes telling me about their version of the Airbender. Or
any new writers out there, never do that shit.
Yeah.
Do not stand in front of a table and pitch us anything or tell us about your story.
That's not the place to do it.
And if you spend too much time, buy something from that person at the table.
Hey,
Don't spend too much time and then walk away without buying something from that person's table.
It's funny, we had someone, there was a cosplayer at our table. She was about to buy my buddy's book, and then these two dudes came up and bugged her for a picture. So she goes and takes the picture, and the guys can hear us very unhappy that he's done this. The girl doesn't notice, and she walks away afterwards and leaves.
Yeah, because
And they see, yeah, of course. They fucked us out of that. And so the guys felt bad. They then came to our table, checked out our stuff, and realized there wasn't anything they wanted and left. I was like, not only did you fuck us out of a sale, but then you came and you wasted our time thinking we were going to get a karma sale, and you left anyways without buying anything. Like, just fucking go. Just leave with your tail between your legs. Like, come on.
Chuck, I said I was sorry about doing that, dude. You don't have to bring that up. That was 2 years ago. God.
I didn't mention your name, so what the fuck, man?
Did you guys hear Chuck's podcast? Yes, damn it. Chuck's podcast yesterday.
You mean
Where
the
he
little one?
talked about his philosophy on conventions. That
Yeah.
was it's really naive, but it's fucking beautiful. I wish. The only time I can live by that is if I take a lot of weed, a lot of edibles, and I just go, then I'm all about that. But he has a great story on how to approach cons where all that stuff that happens will never bother you again.
You know what? I've had both slow moving cons, and I will admit this is I get stressed out if I get through half the con and I look like I'm going to break even, because I always want to get just a little bit past that. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Once you have one of those days where the books fly off your table, after that, you want to keep repeating that at the con. And if you don't, you start getting mad at yourself for missing out. That's not the way to do it, but it is something you got to kind of cross over, like what Chuck's talking about, because he's completely right. That stress you telegraph is literally reaching far farther than your voice, dude.
Oh yeah.
Every single person there, they're there to have fun. They're there to have an experience.
Yeah.
And whether they're cosplayers that are hanging out with other cosplayers, or they're there to get autographs and just accidentally wandered into the print area, it doesn't matter. They're there to enjoy themselves. And if you're not a part of that, if you don't act like a host, then you're going to basically broadcast that you don't want them over at your table. And no flow feels even worse.
Yeah.
See,
I learned from. Oh, go ahead.
I have a weird philosophy about cons. Like, I've seen the Barkers, like the Henri. Henri does a great job. He sells out every time he ends the table. I don't want to be Henri. Like, and I've tried to explain this to Henri. Henri's like, I don't care if I sell it. He's like, why? The whole point is to sell comics. I was like, it's not for me. My whole point is to advertise that I'm a writer, and then I write good stuff, and I have a big portfolio.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I care about. So I would rather sell a couple of big items to people who actually give a shit about my stuff than to get it to everybody's hand who I'm never going to see again. And neither one is wrong. Henri selling out is really good for his family, really good. But my goal is to be a writer and write for other people and do this and that. So when I have that philosophy, it helps me out a lot, because it allows me to pick and choose. Hey, I resonate with that t-shirt. I think you'll like my stuff. Come over here. You have a Pulp Fiction t-shirt. I write crime. Come over here and check it out. Oh, you have an Alice in Wonderland. I do something that's in that. And it allows me to pick my audience, who's my fan base, who I know is already my fan base.
Right.
Yeah,
and it takes a while
like
to relax with that.
I like people to know that I have a dick and I'm doing this for the pussy. I want that connection.
Wow, are you in the wrong field?
No, trust me. You don't know I've been doing this for 20 years. There's some wild shit man. You seen them cosplayers? There's a reason they dress that way. I'm not saying they're freaks, but
I gotta make my way to Arizona real quick. Damn.
Wendy's gonna kill him after this podcast.
I love you, girl.
No, she's gonna kill him after he gets back from Arizona.
I know the rules. Look, don't touch. Look, don't touch. Wendy's still working on her pitch.
That's cool to hear you guys say it. I like each person's take on what makes a successful show. Through the years, I had friends who were masters at networking. I could never network. And then I got to a place where I was really good at selling, but I couldn't enjoy the show. I was like, there'd be a show where you didn't sell a book for the whole day and you felt like a failure as a person.
Yeah. I do get obsessed with like my book sales. I want to accomplish it. It's like a thing. And I get to the point where I don't even want to walk away from my table because I don't want to miss out on an opportunity. And it's got a good point because it's good to be focused. It's good to be driven. But then, dude, Matt Smith was at a table 2 tables down from me at one con. I never talked to him.
Matt Smith, the doctor?
Yeah.
No.
Doctor Who?
Yeah, stuff like that. I had to, I've been at cons where like literally like my favorite artist is James O'Barr, hands down. He was at a con. One of my friends had to make me go over talk to him. He literally had to like put somebody at my table, watch it, and then make me go over there and talk to the guy because I was trying to do what I was trying to do. And you have to mix both of them. The whole point of those cons is to meet other people. I met Karun at a con. My partner at the table was barking his head off and actually basically sale blocked Karun. And that was the first con I ever met him. I felt like crap after he did that.
I don't remember this. When was that?
Oh, dude, that was a long ass time ago. It was like in 2016.
Okay.
It was Schumacher, that really tall guy. When I was making Inheritance, it was the partner that I shall not speak his name of.
Oh,
gotcha. Okay.
But anyway, you're supposed to enjoy the con, and when you enjoy it, you're going to attract the other people who enjoy it, and you're going to get a lot closer to your customer.
Everybody puts off that energy. If you walk through the aisles, you can see who's having a good time, and people just naturally want to go to where, oh my God, you ever had a crowd in front of your booth and the crowd gets bigger?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to know, what are they looking at? What they're having a good time. People are smiling, that energy, but it's really hard to manufacture that when sales are low and you're like, fuck, how am I going to pay for this trip?
Yeah. Especially when it's like day 3 of the con and you're like halfway through a day and you're tired.
Yeah.
Well, so it's funny because like we're talking about sales at cons, and the first book, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. You were talking earlier, Travis, about Henri, and he had, because he's also a comic dealer, he had bought a bunch of those, and he was like, how should I pitch these? Like, I don't know how to sell them. And I was like, oh, you're dumb. Just put them on your table and don't even worry about it. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, those books sell themselves. All you have to do is say Cthulhu Invades Oz. And if people like that, they'll be all over it. And that's what I would do is I'd have it on my table and I'd go through all of my little quick 10-second pitches for all my book. And I'd get to that. And then I'd go, and Cthulhu Invades Oz. And if they were into it, they were picking it up, checking it out. And I sold out like every single show. Travis knew whenever I had shows, because I'd call him like a day or two later and be like, I need to stock back up again. It's sold out.
I had the same thing the first few events I've done this year, where I have a section just for Cthulhu Invades Odds, and I have 2/3 of my table is the rest of my books, and I have my pitches for all my books, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and I drew some stories here, and the people will just immediately just gravitate towards Cthulhu Invades Odds, and I won't even have to sell it. It's just, oh yeah, it's an anthology about Cthulhu Invades Odds. They'd be like, I want that. What? But I have other books here. Yeah, but I want Cthulhu Invades Oz. All right, whatever.
Well, Wendy, what you talking about, Matt Hawkins, huh?
So when we were at Dallas Fan Expo, it was Wendy's birthday. And Wendy is a huge Witchblade fan.
Okay.
And so we got her a bunch of Witchblade stuff. I was able to buy her issue 1, signed by oh my gosh, all the creators.
Michael Turner,
Mike Turner, everybody. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So got her that. She was all excited. And Matt Hawkins ends up walking by my table. She's not there. So I'm talking to him, and I told him, I really appreciate what you guys do. My wife's a huge fan. She's actually having a Witchblade birthday this weekend. And he goes, just a sec. And he runs away from my booth. And I was like, I'm not seeing that dude again. There's no way he's coming back. He came back with a Comic-Con exclusive of Witchblade 1, like the 25th anniversary or whatever, and he gave her, what was it, a pin? a Witchblade pin. Is that what he gave you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enamel pen.
an enamel pin. So he's like, tell your wife thank you, and here you go. You can have these for her. And so when she shows up, I'm like, not only did you miss Matt Hawkins, but you missed the gifts that he bought for you. She's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, you need to go over there and thank him. She's like, I'm getting him to sign them. I'm like, whatever you do.
Good call. Good call. All right,
Right.
guys, I've enjoyed being on tonight, but I got to go and take care of some family stuff. So you guys have a good night. Everybody out there watching, check out Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
What?
Is this
And
because I
James-
said something about your wife being Mormon? I apologize to your wife. I am friends with your wife. I support her. You do not have to get a divorce. I don't know shit about the Mormon church. I'm not a Mormon.
It's okay. I just pretend to know. It's all good.
All right.
Can you real quick though before you go tell everyone where they can track you down because your work is amazing.
Yeah.
I am pretty easy to find. I have angrybrain-artworks.com, and I can be found there. And I am James Burton II on social media like Instagram. I can be found. And I make books like Damage Incorporated. I'm a part of Scattered Comics, which is a group out here in Sacramento, and we make all kinds of stuff. And either of those way, I can be found.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. We really appreciate you coming out, bud.
Thanks for having me, guys. You guys have a great night.
Anytime.
Bye.
Much love, bud.
By the way, Chuck, I just told Matt he should hit you up.
Okay. Thank you, dude. I would love to have him on the show.
Yeah, dude, you guys would get along great, man.
We did. He was a great guy. He was really terrific to chat with. I would love that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, brother.
He's so smart. Like, he's a really smart freaking guy.
He
Like,
is a
if
good
you ever
dude.
read what's that book he writes, the science book, Think Tank.
Yeah.
Think Tank, yep.
Dude, like, he's one of the, I'm not gonna say few writers, but he's one of the writers that I'm fully aware when he researches a project, he goes all in. He'll find scientists to interview and all that crazy shit, and I just make shit up and use my own life for fodder. I don't do half the research I did. I did research when I was really young on I was writing a serial killer book. And I went online. This is at the advent of the internet. And I did research on serial killers. And looking at all the horrible shit people have done throughout history, I was like, nah.
I'm done with research.
I'm done with research. Fuck this shit. It's getting into my dreams, fucking up my head. Mm-mm. Do you guys do heavy research? Like, have you read the original Call of Cthulhu, Lovecraft, all that shit?
I have, but I feel it's necessary to, do this to know that. And we've been on podcasts because we do a tour. We have basically a podcast at night, the crew. And some of them will like, blah, blah, blah. What about this? And I'm like, all right, let's go, motherfucker. All right, cool. I read some shit. So I go deep in that stuff,
Right.
I think you need to. And especially when you're doing public domain, like I just found an issue with public domain in our book. So I've got to get that fixed, before we launch. Those things you got to work on. You got to keep looking for those. It's very important because people are out there trying to sue you. So for this stuff, it's super important. But yeah, for anything, I'm doing a book right now called I'm writing a book called The World Ended in 2012, and that's a deep conspiracy. If you go on the internet, deep diving into that conspiracy, it's dope. Like, there's this whole group of people who believe the world ended in 2012, and we're in like a virtual reality, or we've been thrown into another multiverse. I kind of like mixed up, and that's why it's all confusing.
Travis, send me that shit. Send me a link to that shit. Let me check that out, because I love that Berenstein Bear shit. Like,
that Mandela effect.
Yeah, when I first saw that shit made my brain feel like it was gonna pop. I'm like, no, it's a fucking E. It's not an A. What dimension are you from? But really fun fact: first time ever spoken online, ever. First secret ever revealed. Never said this out loud. I never read Alice in Wonderland.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
I ran a trilogy, 50 freaking Wonderland books. Never read. I got through like 2-3 chapters, and I was like, I don't like the language. It's too fucking annoying. It's like Lord of the Rings. But Zenoscope don't watch this shit, so they're never gonna know.
Well, it's a little late anyways. You already did your stuff, so.
Yeah. Just remember that, people. I did not read that shit. You fell for my trick, motherfuckers. I saw the Disney film.
I read Alice. I haven't read the Cthulhu books, but I have done a lot of research into them. So like Cliff Notes, that kind of stuff.
I have all the Cthulhu books. Haven't read a single one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I read the short story because the Call of Cthulhu is short, right?
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu
Yeah.
is just a short story. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've read that one, and I've read a couple of the other ones, but I have like the big 2 giant books of Lovecraft.
Right.
They're gathering dust.
They look good on a bookshelf.
They do.
What people don't realize is Lovecraft was kind of like us. He was just people who, like, when he started writing his universe, he invited all his friends. So a lot of the Lovecraft stuff is just him and his friends, like, writing shit, which is so cool. Like, it's an author group. I mean, take away all the racism and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Let me see if I can get you guys that.
So Kyron has to bolt. Kyron, why don't you tell everyone real quick about StarCore one more time? Get them all excited to go check that out, and then tell them where they can find you in general.
Yeah, can we bring StarCore up? I want to see it.
I don't know how to, but if he
I can do it.
shows up his screen, yeah, okay.
All right, I'll do it. If I share the screen, hold on. Don't talk yet. Just look pretty, Kyron. Just look pretty. By the way, I love that you're leaving early, even though it's the earliest for you than anybody else here. That's fine.
I've been here for an hour. You were not here on time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was only 8 minutes late.
No.
Did you guys start at 9?
No.
Oh, what are you talking
See, I knew Chuck does that to everybody. Chuck doesn't tell anyone the time. He's just like, go.
That's
And then they
bullshit.
think,
I had to go reference the spreadsheet just to
Thank you. Matt and I were here on time. We were
yeah,
killing it.
I called up the spreadsheet.
Oh,
I scrolled
69,
down.
dude.
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
See, I don't want that to change, but I sort of need it to change for me to find. But I
hey,
really don't want that
Kyron,
to change.
send me the link to your Kickstarter. I'll post it up.
Cool. Yeah, so we're a week in at this point. We're more than 50%. I think we're like 60% something. I think close to 69. But it's cool if you're into. This is like a Saturday morning cartoon type series that I'm really trying to get pushed out. The work is animated because I wanted that look, because I feel like out of all my books, this could be produced into a Saturday cartoon or some type of cartoon. But if you're into adventure, things like that, you're gonna really enjoy this. And there are a couple people with the last name of Pino and Dewis and Burton that have cameos in the story too. Just throwing that out there too.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
They were never teenagers. How did you fit them in?
It was very hard. I used a de-ager machine, and yeah.
Hey, Chuck, one of these days, somebody's going to buy a book just because you're in it. That is the fan for life. And it's probably your wife.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I bought it just because I'm in it. So
Okay, I need to know, why is Wendy right ahead of you, Chuck, but she's not on the stream with us? Like, what's up with that?
well, she had a long day of work and she didn't feel like getting all dressed up and whatnot.
All right, I don't buy this story anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
Chuck has told this story way too many times. He always says she's had a long day or she's under the weather or something. Chuck, did you kill your wife? Is that
Norman
a bot?
Bates, like,
You can't prove that, Copper.
Chuck
I've never
Bates
seen
over
her.
there,
I've
dude.
never seen her. All I heard is he talks about her. You hear a voice in the background every once in a while. What's going on,
It's just
Chuck?
Chuck Bates.
I have a little tape recorder here. Chuck,
Seriously.
it's time to do the dishes. Oh, again.
But if you are interested in that, I think the Kickstarter link is in there. You can also get my books at tauruscomics.com.
Yeah.
All other 10 books that I've worked on for the last few years.
And,
So
and
it's
Stop
awesome.
is my favorite. Buy it. Can you buy it as an add-on?
Yeah, actually, you can. I think you can. I don't know.
Isn't Saw also in comic stores right now under Exciting Comics?
Not yet.
Oh.
I think it's May, which I think is issue 25. It's going to come out with there.
Well, then wouldn't that mean that it's in previews?
If I'm not mistaken, it is in previews right now.
Well, then show off the preview, motherfucker.
I don't have previews.
So casual. If I was in previews, I would be running down the street like
Right.
Right?
Okay, I would tell you why on the stream, but it's
Okay.
I don't want to get into that, really, honestly.
That's fair. We'll talk later. That's yeah.
Can you go back up to the fancy GIF, the fancy one? Can you go back up? Go back up real quick. Not that one. That's one. That one. Look at that. Look at those
That's
words
cool.
going on the screen by themselves. Oh, you're fancy as fuck.
Thank you.
Looks like Nintendo, like loading screen.
That's pretty badass.
Man. Everybody should buy this book just for that alone.
Yeah, just for that. That's the thing.
And is this Greg? This looks like Greg a little bit.
No.
Yeah. Who are your models there?
I found those on some sites and just stole it. And I'm dead serious. There's a couple of sites I use to like steal stock photos and stuff, and I just found them.
And then you just throw
those people
your shirts on them. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. Wow. And some of the sites I use, you can add like videos, and it'll allow you to add your logo to their shirts as they're moving, so it looks like you really took a picture of them or video of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow, I had no idea. Somebody please make some really gay erotic porn with tattoos.
And put them on the shirts.
I will post your shit forever. If you just like find a picture of him and put something super gay on his t-shirt, send it to me. I will literally plug your shit forever.
I'm interested.
Also, I don't know if all of you people know this, but the people on this live stream all have Facebook pages, Instagram pages. You should follow us because we're needy little bitches and we need to be pet on our head and our shit needs to be liked. Otherwise, we cut ourselves. I don't know if you know this, but I'm an artiste.
It's all true.
All right. And with that, I'm out.
Thanks, Kyron. Much love, buddy.
Kyron, don't cut yourself, Kyron.
Brian says, I tend to do research on technology and some architecture through history that I'm pulling from. For my first story, though, I did a good amount of research on child abuse and childhood trauma. Fuck.
Who's that?
That was Brian Manel said that.
Hey, Brian, you ever been through child abuse personally? Is this a personal story for you that you're working on? And you should never tell people about your stories.
Yeah, well, he did. He said he was doing research, so.
Oh, no. I was just throwing that out there before.
No, that makes sense.
Did that. Like, no, I know the preface of the, when you're a young writer, all you want to do, a trick that I learned, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but if you tell somebody about your story idea at all, it lessens the need to get that story out in the world. So you never tell anybody. Otherwise, as soon as I tell somebody the idea, I'll never do it.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing.
Yeah. What about you, Travis?
I do. See, I'm a producer, so if I have an idea, I normally do it. One of the things I don't live on that philosophy, write everything down. I don't believe in that shit because I believe if I don't remember it after, it wasn't that fucking good.
I've heard that.
That's my philosophy. I get the people who write everything down. Like I get it. It makes a lot of sense, but I feel if I forgot it, it wasn't as good as I thought.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard. By the way, Raven, I don't know if you know this, like for real, I read The Gift as it was coming out. Like
really?
I was buying it in comic stores because I was a huge indie fan. So I was buying all the awesome because that's when they had the Coven, and Violent Messiah and like all those things were kind of like the same vein of books and coming out very similar within a year or two of each other. So I was buying the whole thing. So
that's how I got Tyler. I got Tyler because he submitted to Tone's Violent Messiah.
Oh, okay.
It was a piece that never got used, but it got sent to Renee Gerlings as a submission over a Top Cow. And she was my editor and she introduced me to him. And I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. And we just went to town. But thanks, man. I appreciate that. That book was a real passion project. I did so many, not underhanded, but guerrilla marketing shit. Do you guys remember, I don't know if you were in the business back then, but they had a thing called themasterlist.com. And it had every single comic book store in the country, their phone numbers on it. So I got that unlimited long distance and I would call every comic book store and I'd be like, excuse me, would you guys happen to have a copy of The Gift? I heard it's super hot. They're selling it on eBay for hundreds of dollars. And I'm just trying to find a copy for my kid. He's sick. He has cancer. And all he wants is The Gift. They're like, I've never heard of it. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I know you ain't heard of it. I'm trying to get it. Order that shit. I did that to every store in the country.
Wow.
And I guess it worked.
I love stories like that. That's badass.
I got it from Kevin Smith. You know the story where Kevin Smith was working at the video shop and he took out a bunch of credit cards, and every time they called to check if he actually made all the money, they'd call the video store and he'd be like, yeah, Kevin Smith, he's an incredible worker. He makes $100,000 a year. Fuck, give him the loan. Like, fucking brilliant.
That's so great.
Hey Travis, what's the craziest thing that you've personally done, you think, to get your book out there, to promote your book, that you just stands out to you as, yeah, I'm thinking outside the box and let's go?
I mean, I think that was Cthulhu Invades Oz. You know, if we're being real, I honestly was like, hey man, I want to get to a next level. How do I get there as quickly as possible? Oh, I put all these. I know I have an idea that'll work. Like Zenoscope has proven this will work. Cthulhu has proven to me on Kickstarter that it'll work. All I need to do is put that shit together and ask everyone who I know who's more talented than me, like literally who's at a higher level than me, get them in the book, and that'll lift me up enough to get me on that level. And then I'm the guy who combined them, so I can level a little bit higher than that, and then keep going on that as we go.
Right. So you think maybe there might be a possible Cthulhu and Neverland story in the future?
Yeah, Neverland's next. Yeah,
that's the next book.
Yep.
What
Wait,
about?
I thought it was Dawson's Creek. We talked about this. It's Cthulhu Invades Dawson's Creek, right?
What about Cthulhu and Debbie Does Dallas? What about?
I think they already have that. I believe Jamie Noble does those books. I think you gotta
I said Cthulhu Invades Your Mom. That was one that I wanted to do. Yeah.
I mean, dude, moms need reading material too. I think they'd really appreciate that. The consideration behind it. They'd love it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was kind of how I did it. I do have some plans for like a second season after, but I'm doing another secret project. I'm not telling anybody what it is, but I'm doing another secret project. Bye, Mike. You got to be careful. Like, if I keep doing these, I'm going to become an editor, right? And I try to explain this other, not the editor like Chuck, the editor who's like, hey, you frame what Spider-Man's going to look like for the next 2 years. You know, you decide, what kind of storylines to build that. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be a writer. I want to write things.
Yeah.
Things,
Well, I can say one huge benefit that you will get from that experience by itself, because I mean, I'm not going to say I was miserable being the executive editor over at Zenoscope, but much like you, I wanted to be a writer. So eventually they transitioned me over into full staff writer. But for those 5-something years as executive editor, you get to see all these different styles of writing. Right. You get to see all this art, and you get to kind of take all of that and put it into your tool house in a way that accentuates your particular style and, format. Because a lot of times I would not have known what was possible with a story unless I saw momentum.
Right.
I mean, Memento, not momentum. Memento.
Oh, you're talking about the movie Memento?
Yeah. Because then you realize you can, as long as you do it well, you can tell any kind of story you want. Like, you can flip. There's no, this has to be the format of story. You can do all types of interesting things that a lot of writers don't realize, because they're thinking in these confines of this is what the story has to be.
Well, I mean, look at Moulin Rouge, right? I guarantee you everybody shoot him out of town, like, until he found one yes to go, like, I have this idea. And I'm going to take other people's really good songs and I'm going to make that shit a musical because I don't want to write my own. Like, really smart.
That's it. It is. There's a lot of people that don't realize that if you want to work on something really big, I mean, if you want to work for a major publisher, you got to kind of build your, like you were saying, your resume,
right?
Of, hey, these are the projects I've done. This shows what I'm capable of doing. And yes, every single woman should have sex with Raven Gregory. It's very important that people understand those, that it's a process.
So should I, if I submit to Zenoscope through the submissions thing, send all my work and then say, also, every woman who works with me needs to consider having sex with Raven Gregory, and that'll help me get through the door?
Will definitely not get you through the door at all. Definitely. I highly recommend that you not say that.
Also, don't mention my name at all, just for the best.
Yeah, I'm not the particular, we're on good terms and everything, but I'm not the guy that's like, hey, Raven recommended me. Have you met Raven? No.
So I'll tell them that Pat Shand recommended me.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. Hey, Brian, that's dope, man. I know I'm not going to repeat what you just said, because if people want to read your comments, they can read them. But I'm glad you were not physically abused.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad nobody put anything inside you. Unless you asked for it, which there's nothing wrong with that either. We're a very accepting community. But dude, I'm actually, not that I know anything about your story, or I'm going to read any more of your sentences at all, but I'm actually very interested because I love stories that have an emotional component. You know what I mean, Travis? Like something that, if somebody tells me, hey, I want to tell a story about a guy in a far off galaxy far away and he has to fight against the Empire and there's lightsabers, I wouldn't give a shit about that. But if you say, I want to deal with a kid suffering through child abuse and how it turns him into the person he grows up into, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in. I'm emotionally connected, because even though I never got abused, I know a lot of abused people, and I know people who are fucked up in the head, and it's not really their fault. It's what they're trained to know. So stuff like that just, woo.
Well, and I feel like, writing good characters requires that there is some sort of emotional aspect to what you're doing usually,
Yeah.
So it's going to come up.
I think, so when I write a character, any character, for any of my books, everybody has a brokenness to them. There's some broken piece of them. I don't care who you are, where you're at, there's something that's broken inside of you. Like, I'll share mine just to get a little personal. Like for me, I am never enough. Like, regardless of what I do, it's never good enough in my head. Like, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like it can be a massive problem in my life because, early before I learned how to figure it out, I was helping everyone with everything always because I needed to be valuable in their life, and that's a problem. I was the fixer, but that also makes you really good at networking and finding people because I want to connect on that deeper level. But I feel that if you don't come with each of your character with some sort of brokenness, they're one-dimensional, right? They just have surface. So they got to have a brokenness, and they got to have that thing that they're trying to fix. And maybe you'll let them fix it, maybe you won't.
Well, and that comes nicely into this, where John says, "How do you come up with your ideas for stories?"
Well, John, the way we come up for our ideas for story is you're a comedian. You don't care. Get off this stream, John. I know why you're here. You're just here to talk shit. I'm sorry, people. Please excuse my friend. He's in the middle of transitioning right now. He's really laying claim to his female self, and he's just he's an embarrassment. He really is to the whole community. But I love him. He's one of my best friends.
I think he's asking really good questions, and then you're just like, this asshole.
Is he, you always have that one guy who's like, that guy's an asshole. Why do you hang out with him? I know he's an asshole, but he's my asshole, so I want him around.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, but that's it's a good question, though, because we had to take on these characters that were either, that were, everybody knows. And so how do you take on one of those characters and tell an interesting story that probably hasn't seen before, and then also layer it in with the madness of Cthulhu and all that kind of stuff? So John says Raven is my asshole. So
he bleaches me if you can't tell.
That's what happened to your hair?
Yeah, I'm a bleached asshole.
So
go back for the eyebrows, John.
Right? Matt, for you, what did you have to do to come up with your story?
Well, Yeah, if I remember correctly, I did a Wikipedia search. And I was like, I just want to find interesting characters that I can have a take on. And again, not to rehash, but I was like, oh, I want the caterpillar, and
Yeah.
I didn't get it, but I was able to fold it in. Yeah, just it's like research. Just going in, just looking through, like with something like this, where I'm picking from column A, column B, I'm just like going through the Wikipedia and I'm like, all right, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. I like this aspect of these things, or like, this is something, I tend to write a lot of science fiction, conspiracy theory, if I can take a piece of that. So it was a lot of just research. And like, I didn't read, I know we talked about this earlier, I read like In the Mountains of Madness and stuff like that. So I knew that like everybody had to be insane at the end, or dealing with madness at the end. But it was just a lot of research and trying to find things that I felt like I could work with.
Trav, what about you?
I don't have any good ideas. Is that the
Yeah.
question? Where do ideas come from? For me, I think of a character. Like I come character first, and then I think of the story I want to tell with that character.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously have some concepts and plots, that I want, but I really want to tell character. My inspiration for writing was, like Raven, great Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, Rob Rodriguez. They create characters and then put them into crazy scenarios and see how it works out.
Yeah.
So that's how I handle it. And I very much live with the write what you know, right? Like I know, when I write crime, I come from a drug and alcohol family. Like I've seen deals go down. I've seen bad deals go down. Like I know something of that world, when I write Voodoo Nations, I have the password. I've never been a fly.
You would love this shit, Travis. This is my drug book.
That's your drug book.
This is I had at a point in time, me and my wife, God rest her soul, had a meth problem, and this was basically my meth book.
Yeah.
Wow. So
dude,
as soon as you said
that, right where
dude, yes, I get that. That's pure writing. I love that writing.
Yeah, I mean,
go, Travis.
Granite State, my most recent one, Granite State Punk, it sells around someone who's in AA and like dealing with that, because my family was in AA my whole life, so my mom went into AA, and I have my own issues with AA, right? Like even I drink now, but I drink because my family, my mom inbred it into me that if I had one beer, like I'm going to become an abusive dude doing meth and beating everyone up around me. Like that wasn't the case, just because she was an addict doesn't mean I was an addict. But also like AA for a kid, like people don't think about this. They think about AA as this great program. And I know you're in it, Raven, so I apologize if I offend you. They think it's this great program, but what it also teaches these parents, right? They want to get clean. Most of them have been so in their thing, they gave up on their kids years ago. Yeah. All you're doing is separating them further from their kids, because now they have to go to fucking meeting every other meeting, and all you wanted your fucking mom back, right? Yeah. You were promised your mom back. Yeah. She's like, I'm clean now. I'm going to be your mom. Oh, I got to go to this meeting. Oh, I want to start dating now. Oh, this guy who you brought in your house, who you thought was going to be clean, is abusive. I got molested from people who came into my house from my mom stuff. So kind of writing about that and like channeling some of that anger and knowing that it's also good too. So what does that look like? So when I wrote Granite State Punk, I really wanted to first show my anger towards these programs and the people struggling in them. The first one, he's in AA but still drinking. The next one, he's going to go straight edge. What does that look like, trying to not drink? Because I have a clear understanding of what that is. So you write what you know, and then you put cool shit on it. Vampires, witches, voodoo, all that shit.
Yes.
The core of it has to be something that you intimately know, because people can smell the fucking fake. They can.
Yeah.
When they read it, they're gonna tell.
The one thing I hate more than anything is when somebody starts a story pitch with, it'd be really cool to do. I'm like, dude, stop. It's this big battle in this galaxy. I'm like, Dude, no. Tell me.
So you're not a sci-fi guy.
Well, no. It's just Paul Jenkins told me something a long time ago when I first came out with the gift. He told me what the darkness was about, and he said the darkness isn't about this guy with all these powers. The darkness is about Jackie Estagato, and he's never had a family, and all he's wanted his whole life is to belong to some kind of family, and it's led to his connections in crime, his behaviors toward women, and I'm like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. But just like Travis said, that's the truth behind the story. That's what gets people hooked, you know? It's not just the spectacle. If that was the case, then what was that movie that just came out? Would have done real good? Moonfall?
Moon Knight?
No, Moon Knight was cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I like Moon Knight. I like shit like that. No, it was Moonfall with the moon coming down to Earth.
It's like gonna collapse and
fall. I saw the previews for that. I didn't see that shit.
Yeah, nobody saw that shit, but you guys have to see it because it is the worst movie ever. like the writers were like, okay, what are we gonna do now? We're gonna outrun an ocean. Wait a minute, the bridge is down. We're gonna jump it anyway because there's no gravity, and it just happens to work after we go over the bridge. Everything you could imagine them doing ridiculous, they do, and it's hilarious. And it's not meant to be hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. Highly recommend. Anybody who hasn't seen that shit, get really high and watch that shit and laugh your ass off.
Right. Well, and I like what you guys were all saying because I agree with that. Right. What you know and all that kind of stuff. For me, when I was taking on the Caterpillar, I was kind of tired of everyone writing a character that, you know, he seemed like a pothead. He seemed like he was all this stuff, but they weren't going to kind of be out and out about it. And I was like, nah, man, like, let's just embrace that. So I really tried to infuse him with that kind of Tommy Chong sort of pseudo marijuana philosopher kind of guy. And I just had a lot of fun with it. And of course, just wanted to tell, you know, like a really cool story that also showed kind of the fact that he's also a pretty devious guy, the Caterpillar. Like, he's very intelligent and really is kind of thinking ahead. And so I just had a lot of fun kind of playing off of that. So I don't want to go too much into it because it's only 4 pages and I'm really excited by that story. So.
Hey, Mike, good luck at your show, man.
Yeah.
Be funny.
Yeah, I never read the comment. And
you do here. You're good.
Yeah, while you're talking, I'm like, oh, he's prepping for his show. Fucking yeah, man. I hope you have a great ass show. If you're single, I hope you get pussy. If you're married, I'm not saying anything.
Well, I hope you still get it just from your wife.
Matt might rat you out.
No,
you got to bring him. You got to bring him a toy.
Bros before.
You got to bring him a very weird toy. Like, bring him a. What's the weirdest character we could think of? Like Top Man or Stilt Man?
Oh, Stilt. I have the first appearance of Stilt Man. I need the figurine to go next to it.
Oh my gosh!
You got the issue with Daredevil.
I am that nerd who has Daredevil.
I used to have it. I used to have that shit.
That's so great.
That's how you know you're a real comic book geek. If you have the first appearance of Stilt Man or you've read a Man-Thing comic.
I only read Giant Size Man-Thing. I don't take lesser Man-Things.
I just love the story. Like I loved reading Man-Thing when I was a kid in 6th grade, but I love the story that him and the guy who created Swamp Thing were roommates. And they both came up with a swamp monster. I was like, I'm gonna go over here. Wait a minute, you guys live together and you both came up with the same. I'm like, that's funny. Oh shit, this has been fun, man. I've been enjoying hanging out with you guys. Oh, and John's asking about inspiration for some fucking stories or blah blah blah, short attention span. John, try to be a comedian. Try to be funnier. I don't know where any of my ideas come from. Most of the time I'm smoking weed or I'm drunk or I'm working through shit like therapy. Like everything you were saying, Travis.
Yeah.
Everything you say, even though I'm in AA, one of my fears that I've seen is if you've ever been to an AA meeting, you see the people who bring their kids there, and then you hear the story in the AA that these people who are now addicts grew up in AA with their parents. Like it's this generational curse. Like, yeah. So everything you're saying, I'm like, oh shit, I'm on board with Travis. Like Travis, you and me, man. I'm fucking.
It's funny because I like to call myself third generation alcoholic, because the idea is my grandfather was an alcoholic, which affected my dad, but my dad is kind of more like the Travis figure, where he eventually was like, he didn't drink a lot, and then eventually he was like, no, I'm going to have a couple drinks and enjoy myself now and then, because he doesn't get to take that away from me. And so now I'm kind of, I grew up in a house where we didn't have beer in the house, we didn't have a lot of alcohol in the house, and so I kind of went down the same path as my dad, and I can actually feel myself like I'll be drinking, and then suddenly my body's just like, no, you don't get to have any more. Even if I wanted to get completely fucked up now, my body is just like, nah, you're done. And
everybody, whether they admit it or not, everybody knows if they can become an alcoholic. And it's very simple. If you drink to get fucked up, you could become an alcoholic. If that's your, like when you drink and you're hanging out with your friends, you're having a good time, that kind of thing. Like there's nothing fucking wrong with that. But the second you start drinking specifically with the intent of blacking out, that's the beginning of the path.
I totally feel that. Last year, I threw up my back fucking brutal. And I had to do a show. I was at Comic Palooza, and it was so bad that I brought a wheelchair just in case I wasn't going to be able to walk around. Luckily, I didn't have to use it, but we had it on hand around just in case. And I remember the Saturday night we were going to do the drink and draw, and everybody was going to do it, and I was like, dude, I don't draw. And they're like, well, just come out and hang out with the artists and drink. And I was like, okay, fine. So I sat down and I'm hanging out with artists and we're having drinks and everything's going good. And all of a sudden, I can't feel any pain at all. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I get now why people fall into this and why people get into the drink, because I felt great for the first time in weeks, and I was like, oh fuck, like I can't, like I'm gonna keep enjoying myself for the rest of the night, but I have to remember, like, this shit, you can't keep this up. And so I that was a real surprise to me, and something that I hadn't really been around. So yeah, it was kind of fucked up, and it was an interesting reminder. But oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? Have you had any alcohol shit, weird shit?
So my grandfather was an alcoholic and he was abusive, and like I always remember that my dad like was the stepping stone to like break that chain for me. So I was like,
you and me, man, you and me.
I was like, I can understand, like, this is the thing and this is the difference, and this is, so like as I'm sitting here talking to you guys and I'm enjoying a beer, it's like I'm just gonna sit here. Like, it was always like I respected like my dad being able to like break that chain of, like, like my grandfather like shot at a TV and like barely like missed my uncle, like, but like my dad was like the guy who like showed me the difference of like, this is the thing, and this is, so like I don't know if that's the best description, but like
no, that makes a lot of sense. I like how Travis is sitting there the whole time, and he has this look on his face that nobody broke my chain. What the fuck? Why didn't my grandparent was an alcoholic? Fuck.
Well, I was actually extremely lucky. Though I had alcohol, both my mom and my dad were both drug addicts, alcoholics. My mom's side was pretty messed up. They have a series of it, but my dad's side wasn't. My dad just lost his dad when he was really young. So that's, what drove him down that path. So I saw like hey, look, all these people know what the fuck they're doing and like living lives and buying businesses and shit. And I was like, oh, I like that. Like, I want to do that and not that. It's like, these trailer parks suck. Like I am not a fan. Like, trying to figure that out. But, it comes to a point. I remember when, I went through a divorce and I started drinking heavily. And my mom started seeing it on Facebook. And I remember having that conversation with my mom. And I was like, Mom, you just have to trust me. And like her pleading, worrying that I'm going to go that path, and go, Mom, I don't want to feel right now. I remember going like, I cannot feel right now. It is killing me to feel right now. You have to trust that I have a support group who know that this is not my true nature. They've known me for, 10, 15 years. They know who I am, and they're going to pull me through this, and they're watching me. And they did, man. My friends were at bars every day with me whenever I was doing it. And they made sure like it was time. And I actually, my baby mama, my daughter's mom, was actually the one who pulled me out. Like, it wasn't anything that they did, but she was just like, okay, you're done. Like, you need to be a dad again. You've had your time. Like, it was like 3 months. She's like, you're done. You need to get a house. You need to stuff. And I literally did it in like a month because I was just like, I need to be a dad. That's who I want to be. Like, that was important. But again, that's because I, avoided it for so long. I didn't do it when I was a teenager. I'm sure it would have been completely different if I started younger. It's how soon you start, how you develop your coping mechanisms. I had other coping mechanisms beyond this. I just chose that one actively, and then I also chose to get out. But again, it's because I started when I didn't start drinking until I was like 22. I woke up one day, I was like, I'm afraid of a fucking beverage. It's fucking insane. I'm gonna drink one.
See, Chuck, and this is what I was telling you about earlier. Travis is like Chris. Now that I got to know him and know what he's about, I fucking like this guy. I want to support him just because he's a cool motherfucker. I've never read a single word he's written, and I'm on board. I'm like, oh shit, he's broken as a motherfucker, and he put himself back together. I like this shit. I was telling Chuck, like, it's so hard to do a really good podcast interview. Because if you sit there and you just talk about your book, it becomes like we're very passionate about whatever we create. Sure. But trying to convey that without spoiling the story and put all that in, no, it's really you have to go out and read the book. But you're selling yourself. You're selling who you are because that's, like we were saying earlier, that's what you relate to. The truth. People can smell that shit from a mile away. And dude, I'm digging your shit, Travis.
Thank you.
I'm digging your shit.
So it's funny because John, right? No, that's fair. John said 7 months sober for me, and my mother is trying to convince me to take my son to Vegas for his 21st birthday. I think like there's things that you can do as a father. So definitely do something fun for his birthday, but of course, focus on other things. He's got friends who are going to want to take him out drinking and do that shit. And if you think he can handle that, and of course, he's 21, it's not like you can stop him. Go ahead and let him have that and just be like, hey, if you do want to do Vegas, you guys go have fun. I'll be gambling or whatever. And then when you're ready to hit the tables with me and have a good time, let's go do that. So there's options.
Or John, you can grow a dick and tell your mom no.
There's options. Yeah, that's an option. I guess
you're allowed to do that. You're grown.
You can say, I don't want to.
You're grown. See, making all these jokes on here on the side. You think I don't see you calling me a whore and shit? I saw it.
Yeah, but he was not even wrong. Like, it's barely a joke. That's a statement of your bio.
Dude, literally, I'm a fucking whore. I am a fucking.
Oh, there
whore.
you go. Yeah, take him to a. Yeah, exactly. Take him to a dispensary and get him the good shit. There you go.
Hey, John, I love you. I think you're an incredible human being, and all the jokes I made at your expense, they were just to make Chuck laugh. He paid me for this. He told me he was going to send me naked pictures when we're done. I had nothing to do with this. He is the Chris Rock to my Will Smith.
And now I'm expecting to get slapped next time we hang out.
Wendy just came in and smacked you all of a sudden.
Would be honestly, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd just be like, that was podcast history right there, folks. So let's wind this down because we are at almost 2 hours. Everybody, why don't you tell them where they can track you down? Raven, go ahead. Let us know where we can track you down.
Facebook, Raven Gregory. That's it.
There you go. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Matthew Kuhn. Instagram is Twitter is mkuhn. Instagram is MAK0876. I at one point didn't want my work to find me, but I think that that's impossible now. And I have a podcast called Constructing Comics. Every other week I have to tell Travis he's not allowed to be a guest because I just had him on. So
I know the feeling.
Aren't I on it tomorrow?
Case in point, Travis is on tomorrow.
Dude, I'm on Chuck's show tomorrow too.
Just checking. That's at 9, right?
Yes, it is.
I like you from 9 to 10, and then I got the burritos round 2.
That's great.
Time of our shows.
That's great. I love it. Trav, tell everyone where they can track you down and this wonderful book we're working on.
Yeah, don't find me. Don't find me. Find my friends. Cthulhu Invades Oz. So I got your book for the 14th, right? Yeah. It's my birthday. Actually, it's the end of Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. Is April 14th. We're going to do a party on my channel to end the book. We're going to have tons of guests. It's going to be dope as hell.
I'm going to be eating beef jerky that night.
You're what?
I'm going to eat a bunch of beef jerky that night because that's the end of Lent, the 14th. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be eating all the meat.
I was hoping for hot sauce again. We need the hot sauce.
I'll throw some hot sauce on my beef jerky and do lines and go to town. It'll be great. Yeah, he always tries to end one on his birthday too. So yeah, tell everyone about this wonderful book.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't. You guys are breaking up. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So CthulhuInvades.com. Go ahead and go to CthulhuInvades.com. It is the book. It's what you should be reading. So check it out. There, we give you a full 24 pages of it already in there. It is a passion project. You know, everyone brings their A game. Everybody who I think has a future in this industry, I've been doing this for a long time, is in this book. That's why we asked Raven and not Pat, because I think, you know, eventually Pat Chen's, he's doing JoJo Siwa. He's on his way down, but Raven's still on his way up. His name's not even in JoJo Siwa. They don't even want his name. So yeah, we're building it up, doing some really cool things. So check it out. 600 other people are already checking out. If you're not, you're just not going to be at the cool kids table. If you want to sit at the little kids table forever, keep doing that. But if you don't, come on, back this book and join the big kids table.
There you go. There you go, man. Guys, thank you so much. Obviously, you've already found me. Feel free to add me on Facebook and come check out the weekly show. And like Raven said, me, Raven, and Mike DeBalfo are going to be hanging out tomorrow night. It's just going to be sheer craziness. I don't know what's going to go on. If you don't like adult situations, don't tune in because we're going to be having a blast. Guys, thank you so much. Check out Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. You guys will not be disappointed at all. It's going to be amazing. Peace, love, and comics. My name is Chuck. I give a fuck. Take care, everybody.